I've got a really cool thing to share with you, which is a podcast I just did less than 2 days ago with one of the first members of our Facebook group. It was the Amazon Insiders-FBA Sellers. You can go there and find it for free to join. He just sold his first product. He sold his first product in September of 2016, and he already just sold his business, his Amazon business, for a ton of money. And it was so cool. I was so excited to talk to him about it. On our end, we share our results every month with our sales. So we haven't sold our business yet, so you can sell it for a longer period of time, but we love talking with people out there besides ourselves. And here's an example, again, someone who just started, sold his first ever product on Amazon, right, in e-commerce less than 2 years ago, right, in September of 2016, and just sold the business in August of 2018. On the podcast, we talk all about it. The podcast is called Rainmakers. If you go onto iTunes, you can check it out. I'll put the link in the comments here. But it was just so much fun. His name's Jim, and we talk about it. He's in his 60s, and he just walks through it. And so we talk about some of the keys in the podcast about, how to go about and selling your business. And one of the things I think that probably makes a ton of sense to you guys is if you are selling your home, it's no different than selling a home. If you've put up your home for sale, which I bet most of you guys have, is that when you put your home up for sale, it looks the best it's ever has, right? It's like really neat. You got people visiting and it's just dialed in. That's how you want to think about your business, right? And Amazon, I mean, let's 23 months, right? You can run it for 23 months. And there's some steps you do to make your business in good order. And we talk through those things, how you go about it. And it really makes a difference when you sell your business because people will pay a lot more. Of course, just like a house. If a house is a wreck, right, when you go to buy it, you're surely not going to pay a premium for it. But if a house has been well taken care of, well maintained, and it's ready to go, and there's lots, in this case in business, there's lots of opportunities to grow the business. E-commerce typically is. And if you built the business the right way, then you can have a really nice payday like Jim just had on Friday. The funds were wired to his account like an hour before we spoke, which again, I love. That's part of the thing that I love about our AMZ Insiders and coaching and teaching people is to see people beyond ourselves that have done really well. And they're out there. People don't recognize it. And so we go through a couple of things. And what we typically see is whenever I talk to people about the business, and so many people don't even understand that you can sell on Amazon, let alone they certainly don't understand you can sell a business to people. They don't understand how all these people out there that would want to buy the business. And there's companies out there that make it super easy. Basically, they find the buyers, they match the buyers and sellers. And in this case, the person who bought his business is someone actually right down the road from us here. I'm in our office in Alpharetta or Milton, Georgia here outside of Atlanta. And the person who bought the business is in Roswell, Georgia, just about 10 miles down the road. This person had about, I think he said $15, $20 million business selling wholesale. So not what we teach is private label on your own brand. So he hadn't done that. And the guy didn't want to start that from scratch. So he thought he'd just go out and buy one that, is just a couple years old, has is profitable, that is being run well, that he could then acquire and not have to start from scratch. And then he can just build from here. He can just build on from what Jim's already done. And the really cool thing with Amazon is you can just launch it to other countries. So Jim only sold in the US and Amazon, but you can easily sell it in Canada, the products in Canada, easily go to Europe, and so forth. So it is, again, it just really pumped me up. So I thought I would share that stuff with you. If you guys want to take a look at, people always ask for, to get a better understanding of what I do and how we help people, you can go to amzinsiders.net. That's my free masterclass. But again, I'll put the link for the podcast and the masterclass down there. You can have a free consultation with us. We are pretty busy, so I get lots of emails from people, and I try to get back to people, but I don't always get back because it's just such a volume of people, things always flying around. But again, beyond that, I encourage you to check out the podcast. It's super cool. One thing we talk about, and Jim does a good job talking about 4 aspects of running an e-commerce business. And we go more in depth on the call, but just first is you got to capitalize the business. You got to fund the business, meaning you got to have some money to invest to get underway, right? So if you have no money, you can't pay your electric bill, don't start this business or any business. Just work to keep learning, but don't go out there and launch your own business right away. But the nice thing about the e-commerce business in Amazon, it doesn't take nearly as much money, right? It takes a few $1,000s as opposed to if you want to launch a car wash, if you want to buy a restaurant, if you want to buy a serious franchise, you're going to spend $50,000, $100,000, sometimes $50,000, $100,000 even more. So it does take some investment, but not nearly as much as those big things. Of course, you can do this while you're working. One of the things I love about the LinkedIn community here is that I just really relate to this community. I was one of the early in my days, I was with an education company then. I kind of identify with LinkedIn because it was kind of corporate and all the people were more professional, which I identify with more than kind of the internet world. As I've learned out there, there's all sorts of people out here, right? And you see all these people advertising, like the people in their young 20s, and they're fake Lamborghinis, they're rented Lamborghinis, claiming they make all this money and all this kind of bogus stuff, which attracts a certain type of person, I guess, which I just really relate to people more that's down to earth. You know, I'm a corporate background, military officer. I relate to people like Jim. If you listen to Jim, you know, a guy in his 60s, he's a hard worker, he wants to put the time in to succeed, and he rewards. So many people get into this stuff and they think, oh, it should be super easy. It's too good to be true. And it must be so easy. And the wrong people get into it that don't know how to put the right time and effort into it or follow kind of the right process. And then those often it's those same type of people that kind of end up the other way, that like, oh, this doesn't work, you know, because they went about it the wrong way. And those are the people you kind of hear from the most, the two extremes. And really the people like Jim, there's so many Jims out there, people that are actually the number of, I think he sent me a stat, the number of people that sell like over $100,000 on Amazon is like incredible. The number, I'll have to get the exact stats, but it's an incredible number of people out there that have had that level of success, let alone, you know, much more success than that. But anyways, I just relate to all of you here on LinkedIn because that's, you know, that's where we come from, is more, you got to put the time in, you got to put the work. So, you know, we talk about capitalizing the business as one, just real quick. The second thing is you got to launch your business, right? You got to understand the right way to go about it so you don't make a ton of mistakes and waste a bunch of money. That's what we primarily help people do. Monday nights, I'm out training people. I've got someone, a gal from New Zealand who sold her business for over $1 million, but she is doing it. She went through a divorce. She's trying to do another business, and she wanted to learn some of the latest techniques and how we go about it. So this is the type of person we're working with. We've got tons of people, of course, brand new with no experience, but they maybe have corporate background. They know how to work. You put in the time. They're excited about entrepreneurship. So you got to know how to launch your business. Number two, after capitalizing it. The third thing, which is really important, which so many people don't talk, you got to run the business. So even though it's passive income, it's not something, you know, the sales do come in every night. You wake up and you're like, that is so cool. I just got X amount of sales, right? It does require you to pay attention. You need to, even if it's a side hustle for you, you need to be, you can hire virtual assistants, or you may have a spouse or someone I've my own kids, I've had them as part of their own education. I'll have them get involved, and they'll have the app to see sales for one of our accounts and manage some of the inventory. I think it's, to me, as important of an education as they're receiving as they do just at school. But you got to run the business. So you got to find some time to do that as well too. And then the fourth thing is exit the business. So you could keep the business for a long time. Like we have not planned to sell our business, but we may look to here. But in Jim's cases, you know, he did it real quick because he talks about in the podcast how the market was hot, or is hot, and the multiples. So the multiples of the profitability for what the business could sell for was really attractive to him. So he went ahead and sold it, got a huge sum of cash wired to his account just before we were talking. And now he's going to go chase a new life passion for probably, I'm guessing it sounded like maybe for a year. And then he's going to come back and launch most likely another e-commerce business. Again, if you're interested in getting started, this is my favorite time of the year because we're coming up on the fall. Q4 is where things really take off because, as you know, there's so many more sellers on Amazon e-commerce. You guys, I'm sure everyone yourselves, shop much more as you start getting into the fall and the holidays. And so things really take off. So it's a great time to get started, even if you get, you know, just a little product going, initial product to understand the process. Again, you can go to amzinsiders.net to just check out the free no-cost masterclass. If you want to jump on a call, you can apply and schedule. We've got crazy schedules, of course, during the week as we're doing that and keeping an eye on managing our own e-commerce business. And yeah, super cool for Jim. If you go to the Facebook group, you can see Jim in the group. That's the Amazon Insiders-FBA sellers. We've got like over 18,000 members. And Jim was one of our first 5, I think, members in the group. If you have any questions, I'd love to answer any questions in the comment. If you can comment below. If you've been thinking about this or just want to know what the heck this is, feel free to, that's always helpful if you comment below. That's super helpful. If you have someone else that might be interested, of course, just share this. This is like the fun information to share, especially examples of people selling their business for a large amount of money. Learn or align yourself with mentors that can help you out. So again, comment below and have a great week, and we'll talk soon.